So, tell me a little bit about what you do. It sounds like you have quite an exciting career. I want to hear all about it.
Yeah, totally. So I'm a composer here in New York City. I've been writing music for a very long time, and this idea of the piano, right? Like I kind of grew up playing piano, and it's always been central to my music. And there's some projects where I have to be very far away from the piano, but it's nice when I work on my own kind of music because I do a variety of film scores and video game music and all of the above. So it's always enjoyable when I get to work on some of my own stuff, like my albums, my shows, to really explore different themes and different sorts of piano worlds. Because I really grew up with the piano. Like I love the piano.
Nice. So, what's this current project that you're doing? I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, totally. So this album, I just released this album. It's called Chasing Moons, and it's a really nice, like, it's a really cool, and it's hard to describe because it's kind of classical, but it's also kind of cinematic. It's like a film score, but maybe a little more fleshed out, a little more intimate. Um, and yeah, it's kind of, and it explores a lot of different themes musically and a lot of different themes like thematically too. Because I feel like because I've done so much film scoring and this is the thing I always come back to, um, I always have to have a story. So even if it's like just like an album, it's like I always have to have a story in the album, which is really, really fun. So it's great. It's available everywhere. I just released it just a few weeks ago, and it's yeah,
Yeah. Congratulations.
thank you.
So, what was the inspiration behind it, and what inspires you as a musician or a
Yeah, totally.
composer?
Yeah, story. It's really like story, and I know it's very general, and I'll get to more specific manifestations of story, but um, it's really stories and like the fact and the fascinating thing that like people, humans have been communicating through story for forever, and that's kind of it's how we learn things. It's how we understand the world around us, and so getting to participate in that storytelling process is always a really inspirational kind of reminder for me. I think a lot of my artist sort of music came from the pandemic. I think there was a really interesting thing that happened because I was in New York. I was living in New York, and the pandemic hit, and I spent some time in Kansas as a result of it. And there was the first album I did, Dust and Ions, which is now expanded into a concert experience, which was really rooted in the stargazing I did and all of that while I was spending time there. But the second album, Chasing Moons, is a little more of an intimate sort of extrapolation of that. And what really inspires me is this question of like coming home to things and chasing. Like, what moons are you chasing, right? We all have moons we long for. And what does that mean? How does that so maybe it's like going back to a moment in our life that was like very crystalline and beautiful, and maybe we didn't realize it. So there's this piece that's called "The Moon Over an Unnamed River," over an unnamed road, and I remember I was with my sister. This was during the pandemic. We were driving, I was just driving somewhere. I think it was to a winery, like a little Kansas winery. And on the way back, I was, my sister was just like, let's stop in this random road, unnamed road, and let's look at the stars for a little bit. And I love doing this, but I was also nervous because oh my gosh, we're just like in the middle of nowhere. But it was really beautiful. And then the moon rose, like this beautiful full moon. And it was incredible. And so that's that moment that I recall, and it's kind of cool just getting to explore. So it's these little vignettes, right? And then there's also musical inspirations, but story and these moments in our lives that we kind of want to capture, but we can't.
And what would you say was the biggest challenge about making it?
Yeah, it's there's different sorts of challenges that we come across. There's the artistic challenge, of course. Italo Calvino has a wonderful quote that I strongly subscribe by. He says, "My number one job is to not bore my audience." And I think it's great. I'm like, wow, that's a really, people I think about things, things. I'm like, you know, not boring my audience is probably number one. So, artistically keeping it interesting, keeping it fresh, but keeping it in the same world, it's always something really challenging. And then of course just producing anything is complex. It takes time and finding the people, finding the money, finding like all sorts of the pieces. always takes a second. But it's really joyful when you see everything come together and you remember like why you were doing it all along.
And what's next for you? I mean, now that this album's out, I mean, do you have any other projects on the docket?
Yeah, a lot of yeah. So there's I just did a live show actually in New York just a couple of weeks ago. I don't want to date this interview, but it was May 6th and 7th. I did it
Okay.
in Yeah, we did it. It's called Dust and Ions, and it's based off the first album, but there's a lot of music in Chasing Moons that is in Dust and Ions. This new sort of big concert experience with dancers. It's a really beautiful experience with this. And so that was a big thing. That was really exciting. We did it at the Alvin Ailey Theater, and then yeah, so now we're in talks to kind of take it to the next step. And then there's some films I'm working on. There's one I just was very, very, very fortunate to be the recipient of this grant. It's called Real Change, and it's really wonderful because it helps fund your film score, which is really wonderful for these independent films that maybe don't have a ton of money for the music budget. So we're really excited to be working with that budget. So we're recording that next week. We're recording some other stuff next week, and then maybe I'll take a week off. That's the near horizon. Yeah.
Very nice. Congratulations. I'm excited for you. Are
Thank you
you
so
going to
much.
go on tour for this album or?
The hope, yeah, the hope is that we're gonna start touring Dust and Ions, which is kind of maybe I need to find a new name for you, but Dust and Ions is kind of the culmination of the two albums. And the hope indeed is to start taking that show different places. We're in talks with some producers and some people that can help make that happen, and some tour managers. But that is the hope. Maybe we'll take it to Pennsylvania. We'll take it,
Yes.
you know, everywhere. It's been to Kansas and New York, and so
Yay.
now it's yeah, just looking for the next places.
Wonderful. Now, one thing I like asking people I interview is tell me a fun fact about yourself.
Definitely, definitely. I have a I have an addiction to flying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love flying and like keeping an eye out for good deals, good mileage deals, of course, are the best. But yeah, I really love traveling. I think it kind of keeps me energized, gives me a good deadline to work towards too. So I really enjoy traveling, which I know is a very cliche thing to say as a fun fact, but um, I enjoy the finding the flights. That's probably my favorite part. And like when you score a really good mileage deal, it feels great. So
Now, where's your favorite place that you traveled?
it's a good question. I go to Kansas a lot, but I have to say I really enjoy Northern California. That's always a really enjoyable. Flying to San Francisco and then spend time, Carmel or Napa, Sonoma. I really enjoy um, that part of the world.
And it's a different TV site too. What are you watching these days?
Um, Very good question. Succession. Yeah. I have a very long-term deliberate relationships with TV shows. I try, it's like it really takes me a while to like commit to a TV show, but then once I'm in, it's like I'm in, I'm there. I'm fully there, but it's very selective. So Succession is one I've really been enjoying. It's great TV. It's a
And
good score.
yes, absolutely. I love it. Maybe they'll get you to go on one day.
Yeah, well, maybe. Yeah,
That'd be good. You could guest star, you could have your music. I mean, come on. They're gonna definitely
no,
have to have you on one day.
yeah, yeah. One day, absolutely. Yeah, that's it.
And where can we follow you on social media so we can continue to follow your career?
Definitely, yes. So I'm on Instagram, Facebook, all over the place. Instagram is Music Joaquin. That is, yep, Music Joaquin on Instagram. It's probably my most active one. And then Spotify. If you just follow me on Spotify, Alex Joaquin, you can see I have some singles that are going to be coming out soon, and you can also find the album. So Spotify is great, Alex Joaquin. Instagram, Music Joaquin, and then also Bandcamp is always great. So if you really like the music and want to purchase it, Bandcamp is the best. You can just look up Alex Joaquin Bandcamp.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today, Alex. I appreciate you, and I can't wait to have you on again soon.
Of course, yes, thank you, Sammy. Really wonderful to chat and take care.
Thank you. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
yes, thanks. Bye.